Parshas Ki Seitzei Tov Shin Pei Hei. So the beginning of our parsha begins Ki Seitzei La Milchama Alo Yevecha, when you go out to war to your enemies. Unisanoi Hashem Alekecha Biyadecha, that when you're going to go out to fight in the war, you're going to go out to fight. Hashem is going to give your enemies in your hands. In other words, you're going to be victorious in the war. But there's another time in the Torah, the Nesivos Shalom says, there's another time in the Torah that the Torah speaks about war also, and that is in Parshas Ba'aloi Secha. But in Parshas Ba'aloi Secha, the Torah speaks about it in somewhat a little different terminology. In our parsha, we say Ki Seitzei La Milchama Alo Yevecha, and over there the Torah says V'chi Savoyu Milchama Bi'artzachem, when war is going to come to your land. Al Hatzor Hatzoirer Eschem. And the Torah tells us over there in Parshas Ba'aloi Secha that when the war comes to your land, Usikatem b'chatzoitzrois, you're going to blow the chatzoitzrois. So the Nesivos Shalom says that we really need to explain some of the differences between one place in the Torah that it speaks about war in our parsha, Ki Seitzei, and over there in Parshas Ba'aloi Secha, the Torah says something very different. It doesn't say anything about going out to war. Here we specifically say when you will go out to war, the Torah says you will be victorious in the war. But over there, in Chumash Bamidbar, the Torah says nothing about going out to war. There's a lashon of Chisavoyu Milchama B'artzachem, when you're going to be at war in your land. Why the difference? What's this going out? What does it mean to go out to war? And why over there does it not say anything about going out to war? Is that when the war will come to you, then you have things to do, and ultimately you will be victorious. So the Nesivos Shalom explains. He says, he first wants to explain, before we get into understanding why the Torah says it so differently, the Nesivos Shalom wants to explain between the two different types of war that we might be speaking about. There's one type of war where you take the fight to the enemy. Everybody knows, you fight two different wars, right? One type of war is where the enemy did not attack you. They didn't come to fight with you. But you want to gain something. You want to gain land. You have some score to settle with your enemies on your borders. So you take the war and you go out and you attack the enemies. The enemies didn't attack you. The war takes place on the neighboring country's land. And it says in Nesivos Shalom, that's our parsha. Ki Seitzei La Milchama Alo Yevecha, where you're going to go out, and you're going to go out over your border. You're going to go out over your border to fight, and the war takes place not in Eretz Yisrael. It takes place somewhere else, on the neighboring country's land. The war in Parshas Ba'aloi Secha, says in the Nesivos Shalom, it's different. The Torah says there, V'chisavoyu milchama be'artzachem. That's already a totally different type of war. That is a defensive war, where they're coming to attack you. You're going to wake up one morning and you're going to see that there's enemy soldiers in Eretz Yisrael. They're coming over here. It's a totally different type of war. The war comes to your land. They came to fight you, and you are now just defending yourself. So when you take the fight to the enemy, says in the Nesivos Shalom, the Torah says, you go out to war and you push right away into the enemy. Hashem is going to right away, you're totally going to defeat the enemies. However, when the enemy is already in your territory, when the Torah says, when the enemy comes to you, then the Torah tells you, no, there's a whole different set of circumstances. They're already here. So the Torah lists off. You have tshuva, you have to do a lot of different things. Ultimately, you're going to be victorious, the Torah says. Hashem will save you, and you're going to win the war. But it's a much, much tougher type of war. Thereby, different lashonis in the Torah for when you go out to war and when the war comes to you. When it comes to you, it's a much more complicated battle. And the different lashonis of the Torah let us know that. So the Nesivos Shalom says something very, very beautiful on this week's Parsha, and really it has a lot to do with our season, Elul, Rosh Hashanah coming up, a beautiful, beautiful lesson. Nesivos Shalom says, we can take this concept of the different types of war and explain it al pi derech ha'avoda, and really, like we said, a good yesod to know for Chodesh Elul. Every one of us now, we're just about 2.5 weeks before Rosh Hashanah. Every one of us is in that kind of mode now where we're in an introspection kind of mode. We're thinking over how was our past year, what can we do to improve. Everyone's in that kind of a mode right now. And says in Nesivos Shalom, there are different types of people. There's one type of person that the way they lead their life, and especially now when it comes to Chodesh Elul, they take the fight to the Yetzer Hara. They don't give the Yetzer Hara a foothold in their life. They're proactive. They get up in the morning and they fight the Yetzer Hara, and they do not let they go to war with the Yetzer Hara. They go out to war with the Yetzer Hara, even on things of heter. You're not waiting for the Yetzer Hara to come to your land and try to entice you with things that are usher. There are people who get it into their nature that they're going to fight the Yetzer Hara, and they're going to go out and they're going to do even things of heter, as we know, we've explained so many times from the Nesivos Shalom, Kadesh Atzmacha b'muter lach, that there's a fight with the Yetzer Hara, even the things that are mutter, things in your life that you should be doing and you're supposed to be doing, but a Yid eats differently, walks differently, talks differently, acts differently, and things of heter. This person takes the battle to the Yetzer Hara on the Yetzer Hara's territory. You wake up in the morning, Yetzer Hara, I'm coming after you. And even things of heter, even things that I could do, I'm going to do in a different way. I'm going to fight you that way. A gather of, as we said, Kadesh Atzmacha b'muter lach, where you're pushing out away over the border. You're going after the Yetzer Hara on his territory. So the Torah tells us about such a person in our parsha, that when the fight is ki seitzei, you want to know about doing tshuva, about fighting the Yetzer Hara. When you take the fight to the Yetzer Hara, ki seitzei la milchama oivecha, oivecha, your enemy here now, referring to the Yetzer Hara. You're proactive against the Yetzer Hara. You don't wait for him to entice you. Then the Torah tells you, unisonai Hashem alekecha biyadecha. You're going to have special siyata d'shmaya. That right away you're going to see success. You're going to see success in your life. You're going to see success in this battle. The Torah tells you in our parsha, unisonai Hashem alekecha biyadecha. But then there's another type of person, and probably many, many people, most people fall into this category, where we allow the Yetzer Hara a foothold in your life. Yeah, I'm going to fight him. I'm going to fight him, and I'm going to push him out at the end. You allow the Yetzer Hara to challenge you with things that are actually usher. Before we talked about a person, usher is out of the question, but he fights with the Yetzer Hara even on mutter, which is on that territory. But here, you allowing the Yetzer Hara a foothold. He comes in and he tries to entice you with things that are usher. You allow him into your territory. He's already coming to you, and it becomes, as the pasuk says, a tsar, Hatzeirereschem, you allow that to happen. When the Yetzer Hara comes in and he's antagonizing you, and now it's a little bit of a dangerous situation, then the Havtacha from Hashem is a bit different. Before we said, if you're always proactive, you go after the Yetzer Hara, you're going to see a lot of success. But over here, the Havtacha is different. You're going to have to do a lot more work. You have to blow the Chatzoitzeros. You have to cry out and ask for big help from Hashem. But Hashem tells you, that I want you to know that even if that happens, if you put in the effort and you fight back, you may have to fight a lot harder and do a lot more things than the person that was proactive and took the battle out. But Hashem says, if you blow the Chatzoitzeros, and the Chatzoitzeros in your life are referring to not necessarily when the Yetzer Hara comes, you don't pull out a trumpet from your closet and you start blowing that. We're not discussing that. You're not part of the army band. What you're doing over here is that you pull out all the stops. You pull out your capabilities. You pull out your midos. You push back. You fight back. But once the Yetzer Hara is here, then you're like in Parshas Ba'aloischav. He's here. It's a lot more of a dangerous battle. But the Torah is telling you that no matter where you are up to in your fight with the Yetzer Hara, any time a Yid cries out, any time a Yid asks Hashem, help me, I need help with the Yetzer Hara, Hashem is going to be there for you. And really, this is a very, very big lesson besides seeing the difference between our Parsha and the Parsha of Milchama and Chumash Bamidbar. It's really a lesson for tshuva in our lives. Every year we come to Seitzei Elul, and I don't know about you, but I think and when Seitzei Elul comes, what happened to the year? What do? We had so many plans, we had so many things we wanted to do, and it's not a time to be in despair. It's not a time to get down on yourself. It's not a time to be depressed. Elul's a tremendous opportunity. When you ever hear of something, you ever think about that? You ever hear of something, such a way of the world, that a person could do something and do tshuva, and it's as if the thing never happened? It's a nace. It's a tremendous, unreal chesed from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, I want you to do that. I want you to do that. And if you do it, you're going to accomplish. And I'm going to give you slicha, kapara. You're going to get all of that. So it comes to this time of year. It's a very uplifting, tremendous time of the year. You have special siyata d'shmaya. Hashem wants you just to do a little bit. He wants you to do something. And if you wake up one morning and you find out that the battle is in your room, it's in your house, it's on your land, you don't get down. There's still a way. You fight back with the Yetzer Hara. You have to work harder. But Hashem still says, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you defeat the Yetzer Hara. That's some good advice. Good advice for everybody. No matter where you're holding, no matter where you're up to, Hashem is there to help you. He wants you to take that first step. He wants you to go to battle. He wants you to battle the Yetzer Hara. Don't wait. Don't wait. The longer you wait, the more effort, the more you have to throw into it, the more you have to do. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us, if you were a whole year, you were understood that fact, you went out and you fought on the Yetzer Hara's territory, then you're one of the lucky people in the world, and you have a lot of siyat d'shmaya right away. But if not, it'll take a little effort. It takes a little effort. And effort never killed anybody. You push, and every effort you put in right now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will reward you. So let's take this idea. You have the next 2 weeks before Rosh Hashanah, Mirz Hashem, everybody's going to internalize this lesson and understand that no matter where you are, no matter what you've done, no matter where you've been, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there, and you're going to have the siyata d'shmaya to do what you need to do in this Seitzei Elul.